Hello, today's podcast is a conversation between me and my friend Tanzim and Samantha Mariam. Samantha is a Muslim revert who is currently in her fourth year of med school. When I met her 8 years ago, she was studying to be a psychologist while dating my friend. Over the years, her life has taken a very big turn from marrying my friend to going back to uni in the Philippines and studying to become a doctor. I really enjoyed today's conversation, and I feel Samantha's story is one we can draw a lot of inspiration from. So enjoy listening. Poised and like ready to go, and everyone gets a bit freaked out. So just like smooth flow
It's
into it. Tanzim's a
it's easy,
natural now.
baby.
He's
Yeah,
done.
I'm a
He's done it.
natural.
He's
I
done it
mean,
a few times.
if Ahmed can do it, you can
Yeah,
do it. Trust me.
anyone could do it, bro. It's easy
I was
street.
literally listening to your one with the boys last night.
Oh, nice. You what did you think? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, it was nice. It's like just listening in your conversation.
Yeah, it's just like another day with us. Really, just had like a nice,
Yeah.
calm conversation.
Yeah, it was like old times.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing changes.
Nice, calm conversation.
Really. Yeah,
Yeah.
Clearly, we should have let
Calm.
our Dota recordings out there.
That's prison stuff, bro. I'm just waiting for the day Discord comes out. Like we've actually recorded everything. We've sent it to all the authorities, and that's it. You're all cooked. That's all I feel, man. That's my biggest fear now. Did you manage to have a look through those notes I sent through?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Tanzim sent it to me super late, but it's all right. Got it
It's
in the
pretty
end.
easy. Like you have it all. It's all pretty basic. I mean, I was actually talking to this podcast is my sister's idea, by the way. She was listening. She's like, "Oh, have you had Sam on your podcast?" I was like, "No, actually, I've had like Tanzim on a couple of times."
Well, I've only been on one official one.
No,
The other one
the other time
never
we're not going
saw
to talk about.
daylight.
The other one will never see daylight. We burned that hard drive. We're never doing that one again.
Lol.
That's done. But you have an inspiring story. My sister says, and I think other people would find it inspiring. So, you took an alternative route on life, and I think it's looking good. It's I think a lot of people have that like fear, and I think it's a really good way for you to if you tell the people about it, I think you'll help a lot of people out there. I mean,
Yeah.
let's talk about like before we started, before the first time we met you, all the crew, all of us met you. That was when was that, Tanzan? When did you guys start dating? When did you guys meet each other? 2011, 2012?
2010, right? I think we might have met. Nah,
That's a
See,
trap.
the thing is,
Trap
I'm
question.
innocent in this because I wasn't even a Muslim
Fuck you,
at the
dude.
time.
Yeah, you're
But
right.
someone here.
Yeah,
Like
see,
you're
so-
throwing me under the bus straight away. Oh, by the way, your marriage sucks, guys.
Oh God, straight into it.
No, I think it was 2010,
10.
right, baby?
Yeah, we got together in
Yeah.
2010, but I didn't meet the boys until like maybe 2012 or 2011.
Yeah, because you were still in school.
I was literally still in school.
That's the best, bro. Honestly, like even Rama, bro, I was so tilted. I was like, what the hell? She's like, my wife's having her like 26th or 27th birthday. Is one of the two. I know the answer, but like, obviously on the podcast,
You
probably
have to pretend like I don't
yeah,
know.
like I don't know. And I was like, what the hell? Like when I met you, you were like a teenager, and now you're not. Like, fuck, what the fuck is this? We never agreed on this aging shit. What?
And just to give some context, by the way, Tanzim and I are just like a year apart. It's just he skipped a year, so he graduated high school early. It wasn't like a college
no.
student dating like a high
I was
school
the.
student.
Oh, it's honestly, it's the coolest shit ever. Like, oh, I just gotta drop my girlfriend back at high school, bro. Sorry, I'll be at the
But-
lecture later.
But I did do that.
Gotcha.
Oh, I'm not even gonna try.
Oh man. Yeah, see, like when we first met you, we were all well, like I think like the when we first met her, we were all like, oh yeah, like she's really nice and everything. It's like, oh, he's probably not gonna marry her at the end though. No, he's not gonna marry. No way. We're like, no offense by the way. It's like we're just saying,
Yes,
oh,
I
this is
know.
like
It's okay.
we're like, nah, he's probably not. Like we don't know. Oh, it's good. And then 1 year turned to 2 years, turned to 3 years, turned to 4 years, and we're like, oh, she's really good. And then it happened one day. You're like, oh, I'm converting. Like, were you married before you converted?
No.
No. But basically, the boys all thought I was going to pull an Arab, pretty much.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you date the white girl and then you switch over to the Arab girl later on, like the Muslim girl.
No, You converted, I think, before we even got engaged, right?
Yep, I converted. Um, yeah, no, yeah. I converted 2 years before we got married.
Oh,
Yeah.
see that's the one. It was like I think that's honestly one of the best ways of going about it. Like you convert and then you actually see what it's all about. Because
Hmm.
like you kind of get rid of that like that honeymoon phase of like, oh, we're gonna get married, it's gonna be like the best thing ever, our marriage is like nothing like anyone's ever seen, and then you
Yeah,
kind of go all through it. Like when you convert, you kind of see like this is what you're getting into beforehand.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not great for the guy, because like you can't pull a fast one on them on all the Islamic rules. Like,
Yeah.
oh, just by the way, baby, I'm allowed 4 wives, no matter what.
You gotta hit her with that one, bro. Uh,
yeah.
that's like
It's
did
unfortunate
you
for you that I
did
know
you
that divorce is allowed in Islam. So
yeah, you're in the clear, yeah.
Oh, hang on now.
Oh, you'd be fine. Honestly, like when you first converted, like I remember like the day. I remember even that small period of time. You were still in Auckland, you were still in uni, and you did like a conversion. We were all shocked. And when you converted, you became hijabi like straight into it. Like the first day you converted, did you wait a little bit?
no, no, I literally just jumped into it. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
well,
yeah, let's just do it.
yeah. I'm just gonna put this. I got like scarves from like Cotton On. I just put it on my head.
Oh, well done though. I mean, like honestly, like that's like I think from what I've seen at least, I know a couple of people now who've done this, and the people who like just dive into it, get straight into it, seem to like do better with it like long term. Because I'm not, like no need to sugarcoat it for anybody out there. I'm not saying it's like it's not an easy thing to do. Like this life does have certain things you can and cannot do. It's like all obviously for the better in the end, but it's like people think it's like, oh, it's just like this easy thing. It's not. It's like a hard thing. It's a hard thing to do, especially in like your situation. Like obviously like your background. You're from like your family's like all very Christian from Philippines and stuff like that. Did you find
Hmm.
like any real difficulty from that? I mean, I've met your parents, by the way. They're like lovely and they're like super supportive. I thought that was like really really sweet. Just prefacing that.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, alhamdulillah. From my immediate family, there wasn't too much friction in terms of the transition. I would have done things a lot more different now that obviously, like, I'm older, I've been Muslim for longer, I have more life experience. Like, I do feel like there was a bit of selfishness on my part when I first converted because obviously it's a new thing and I'm trying to adapt to it, but so is my family. You know what I mean? Like, they've known me literally my entire life, and then I'm doing something so different from what they taught me. And I feel like I should have given that a lot more consideration than when I initially, converted. But of course, like you live and learn. Alhamdulillah, my family is very, very understanding. It's an interfaith family now. So yeah, it's just tolerance on both parts. It needs to be on like both sides.
Did you find the drama was coming from like extended family? Like they were the ones having more issues than like the people
Oh,
who
for
actually did
sure.
what you're gonna do. Yeah, that's
For
literally
sure.
like you'll always have like some weird like third cousin who's like, oh my god, I can't believe that. Like, bro, I don't even talk to you. Like we talk once a year on Eid. Like you just stay away. Stay out of my life, bro. Like what do you even know about this?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's
for sure.
it's always like that. Now, like you're saying, like I would have done stuff differently. Like, what do you reckon you would have done like way differently? Was there any like major things you'd have done? Like, oh no, like this is probably like I went in too
I wouldn't
hard.
have converted.
Straight into it. Oh, man.
No, no, I don't know. Like just the way, because it was a big change for my family, as you can imagine. And it wasn't just like me converting. I literally got engaged and then got married and moved out of the house, like all within
Yeah.
like a 2 3 year span. Um, and I was still doing my post grad at the time, I think. And yeah, so a lot of things were happening. I was leaving the nest. I was graduating. I look completely different because the hijab, it isn't just like a piece of cloth, right? It literally changes your entire appearance. A lot of people now, the ones that I grew up with, like in high school and stuff like that, they have a hard time recognizing me because I look so completely different. So my family was the same. I'm sure they had to adjust to it a lot. Um, but yeah, especially old, like when I was, 7 years ago, I was a bit more dramatic as well and very strong-willed when it comes to this stuff. So when people would express like a bit of hesitancy, not even like outright saying like, "Oh, you shouldn't wear that" or anything like that, I'd come in like headstrong. And now that I'm older and I know a bit more, I wouldn't have done that. I would have come into it with the understanding that it's hard for me, but it's also hard for the people around me. So
Yeah, I think
bit more
they're trying to wrap their
consideration.
heads around it as well. Like they're always trying to like wrap their heads around it. They're trying to like get into it. I think like that's like that is like that's literally a thing of like just growing up, like getting older. Like I used to have that like real straw like headstrong, like, oh, you have a disagreement with my belief, like you're fucking wrong. I want to destroy your world as well. Like like there's obviously no way that I could be wrong. Now like I think as I've gotten older, I can take like a step back, like kind of look at like a third, like a bird's eye view of like a situation, be like, oh, okay, that's why he has this, this question. Like he doesn't mean it that way, and I
Yeah,
can like interpret things a bit better.
yeah,
Sometimes I do freak out still, like it's still like not completely gone. I will flip out at time to time,
yeah.
at certain things.
Quite often.
And
Yeah,
you're
Quite
kind of
often.
like on the defense when you don't need to be in a
yeah,
lot of
exactly.
situations. Like you're already like
Yeah,
expecting someone to like have like a go at you, but actually they're just asking a simple question because they don't understand, right? There's a lot of
yeah,
misconceptions
it's out
about
of
Islam.
ignorance.
And at the end of it, I always had to remind myself that it comes from a place of love. You know what I mean? It doesn't come from a place of like, I hate you because you're different now. It comes from a place of, I don't understand like what you're into now, but I care about you and I'm concerned. It's more that that's the tone that I should have realized from the beginning, which I
The
realized
defense
a little
point is
later.
exact, like that's like nail on the head. Like that defense point is exactly it. Honestly, like I think that's definitely like age and like, yeah, I don't need to be on the defensive. Not everyone's attacking, and like half the people who even the people who do attack me nowadays and say shit to me and all that stuff, I'm just like, well, man, like. I don't care enough about your opinion to even like go into it, and you'll find like your direct, especially the people you deal with in the day to day in your life, like none of them are trying to come at you. Like it's your family at the end of the day. Like they don't care what you do, what you are. Like there is like a bit of unconditional love there.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure.
Uh, we also like we do make a joke about this, but it is true as well. As like Tanza, when Samantha decided to convert, we also noticed like there's big shifts in you as well, bro.
Okay.
Like I think we make the joke you both convert at the same time. We're like, oh, do you want to do shahada with us,
what is
brother?
this like?
Get him in there, bro.
What is this like? You guys are attacking me like
Yeah.
always. Like all these shots since I've
Oh, you just gotta
started
be in
talking.
it. It was good. I think it's like whenever there's like someone to bring someone else to a religion, I always feel like there's like the other person has to show them the ropes. So you're you become like way more responsible in that sense. It's like, yeah, I've got to show her like what it's all about. I can't just be like half doing it anymore. Or I'm not saying you were,
Yeah,
but
and no, but like I mean, it's a fair comment, right? Because I wasn't that religious when I was younger, right? And in a lot of ways, we both grew up together, and we started evolving together, right? So I naturally moved away from a lot of things I was doing before, partly because I was in a relationship, partly because I started recognizing that it wasn't the right things to do. It's kind of like what you were saying, baby, right? Like when we were younger, we look at things a lot differently. We don't critically analyze a lot of
Yeah.
things. Then as you grow, you realize like, oh shit, like these motherfuckers are a bunch of cunts. I shouldn't be hanging out with them. We'll have to swear on this shit.
yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, okay,
I always click explicit, so it's like it's fine.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and part of sort of growing up comes with like understanding of what you're trying to do as well, right? Like when I was younger, my parents would be like, "Go pray." They know why they're telling me, but when I'm a kid, all I'm hearing is I have to do something now, not really understanding why I need to pray or why I need to do certain things religiously. And then, like you say, you have the added responsibility of also being sort of like a beacon for someone else. So you try and be better yourself too.
Yeah. Did you ever
Yeah.
feel like it was getting like lonely for you?
In what sense?
Oh no, this was actually directed to Sam, but when you
Oh,
first converted, did you ever feel like you were feeling like lonely at any point? Like, wow, like I did this, I'm almost like detached. Obviously, your family were supportive, but like, did you ever feel like you were alone at some points?
Wait, is this directed at me?
Yeah, that's at you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, in the beginning, because I didn't let anyone know that I was looking into Islam, not even Tanzim. So a lot of the time I would, at first it wasn't because I'm just researching, but when I started to feel, a certain connection with Islam, and I started to, really have a major like cognitive dissonance between like what reality is, like what the religion actually is, and like what am I gonna do now, because my entire life I've believed, oh, I was born Catholic, I fell off for a bit, became a staunch atheist, and then I became Christian, and then I found Islam, and then so there's, because I had to consider everything, right? Like, how would my family react? Because I was also, I from the start, I knew I wanted to wear the hijab. So, yeah, I was thinking about all that, and I was worrying. And in that whole thing, I was kind of doing it by myself. I just wasn't letting anyone know that I was considering all of this, not even this one right here. So, yeah, no, it was pretty lonely. But obviously, the more people I let in when I told him I was looking into it and everything, um, it it was a lot better. Yeah, and then when I finally, had the guts to say it to my parents, I was after that I was able to say it to everyone.
Yeah, you see what I think once you overcome like the in your mind like the hardest hurdle of like the a task you have to do, once you overcome the hardest version, everything else past that is just like if they accept me, the whole world has no choice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
like
for
I think
sure.
that's
And
the biggest part.
truth be told, the only acceptance I was really, considering was my parents. Like I really don't care if someone else didn't approve of my decision, and it wasn't even about approving either. It was literally about letting them know that I have decided to take this path in my life. So, like, the only opinion that mattered at the time was literally my family's. So when they were okay with it, then it was like, yeah, what else am I afraid of? So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so like when there's like people say like the hardest time for people who convert or revert, whatever the word they use nowadays is, it's like a buzzword. Uh, like the hardest times like kind of like the first 6 months, especially for like hijabi. Like the first 6 months are hard because like you even like this thing you do every day, like how you wrap your hijab. Like that's something that's like that's something so like you've never done that before. You're trying to figure out like how you interact with people, like any big mistakes you made when you first started, like maybe you tried like a weird hijab style. Like I think all new hijabis try like some messed up styles, and they're like, yeah, no, I hate this. Like
oh
never
yeah,
again,
for
bro.
sure.
Like
Yeah, for sure. Actually, honestly, my biggest mistake when I first started was publicizing it. But I felt like I needed to, which is stupid because I had a YouTube channel at the time, and I wasn't wearing a hijab or anything, so I didn't want to come back on there with a hijab and just not explain it. So when I made that video initially, when I explained like why I look different, it was just that, like, I was just coming on there to the audience I already have and trying to explain to them why I look different. But then it did get a lot of attention, and from that, then you have like the internet in your ear, right? And these people, like, they'll never have the guts to actually say it to you in real life, but because I was vulnerable and I didn't realize how vulnerable I was at the time, because you're coming into not just a new religion but also a new community, and you're seeking a lot of like approval from this community. So I was trying to take on board like what everyone was saying literally, and it was driving me insane. I was just like, this, like, why do like, and I didn't understand things at the time. Like, for example, you know how there's a sunnah of how you're like meant to drink and you can't like breathe or something while you're like drinking the meth. Like, to me at the time, I was like, wow, there's a rule for drinking too. And it was just like, the context. Yeah,
First time I'm learning of this one.
the context was just bad. I didn't understand, and I was very vulnerable. And people were giving a lot of unsolicited advice and criticizing everything. So I was very, yeah, I
The
was not.
Muslim
Yeah,
community
that was stupid.
is like the
If I were to do it again, I would not have publicized it on YouTube.
I think people, like, first of all, like, YouTube comments are literally like the bottom of the barrel of humanity. Like, honestly, I just think like
so like
you're really
there's
scraping.
this YouTube guy. I think his name is Super Dude Was Taken or something. Like I only see him go around comment the worst stuff on people's videos,
Just to
like
get a
purposefully.
reaction.
He just comes out
Like
for you, bro.
worst dude ever.
He's just one of those
Yeah.
dudes. He's just one of the reaction guys, bro. He just wants to get the thumbs up on his videos, bro. That's
Like,
all he lives
he
for.
doesn't even like put his like profile photo or anything. Honestly, like
Yeah.
no one actually knows who he is.
Cowards, bro. That's how it is. Honestly,
Cowards.
it's really, really funny. People are like, I think that's what I'll also tell people as well, is like when you convert, when you get into it, like people really start like hyper fixating on like all like the random things, and people want to tell you that advice mainly because they want to like kind of flex that I
Yeah,
have this knowledge that I
exactly.
could share with you. It's a weird flex. Like I know these like weird drinking sunnahs, but like honestly, like someone who just converted to Islam, like they don't give a shit how you drink water at this point in time. Like they need to figure out, like they need to walk. You're trying to teach them how to like build a rocket ship and fly, bro. Like you just give them the basic easy steps. Yeah, bro, I think you should probably like figure out how to pray first, you know? I think you should do the
Yeah,
ABCs,
for
you know,
sure.
all that stuff.
Funnily enough,
I
like
think
at that time, like when I got that comment, that's when I was literally still trying to learn how to pray, because it's in Arabic, right? When you pray, it's a completely different language. It has its own like tone and everything, and so I was trying to figure that out. And this guy was trying to tell me like I'm drinking wrong. It's just, it was just an
Yo, dude,
overwhelming
it's like,
amount
bro,
of
like,
unsolicited
wrong time.
advice, and then the biggest negative impact it had was definitely on the hijab, because a lot of people have a lot of opinions about the hijab, and till this day, a lot of people, if they don't like the way I wrap the scarf around my head, they'll just be like, you're doing it wrong, what's the point of doing it, like just take it off. And that's like the worst thing you can say to someone
I think that is
just
honestly the
started.
worst, literally the worst way of going about anything. Like
Yeah.
literally the worst way of going about anything. Like I don't know, like I was talking to a guy the other day who what was actually not the other day, it was like a month ago now. And he I don't know, I'm not gonna name anybody, but like he would go out, go drinking and all this stuff. And then he'd come back and pray. And I had someone comment to that person saying like, well, why would you even bother praying, bro? Like, you're out drinking and then come back. And I thought there, I was like, that is wrong. Like, he does all this stuff, but like what, so if you make one mistake, you
Exactly.
should stop doing everything else. Like that's it. It's not, that's ridiculous. And I think that's like the absolutism of the Muslim community, especially on YouTube now, is like you either do it all or you're doing zero and you're gonna burn, bro. You're
It's
done.
really
You're cooked.
strange. That all or nothing mentality.
The
Yes.
the online Muslim community isn't a very supportive place. It's like you say, it's like hellfire or not, pretty much. Like
No.
you can never please them. Like I remember you had a lot of flack for wearing makeup, and it was like, shit, like I can't do any of this stuff now. I mean, by their standards, I'm probably the worst person there is.
Yeah.
Honestly, and it comes out of like all really weird places for them as well. Like first of all, why are you if you think it's so wrong, why are you
I
watching
know.
makeup videos on YouTube?
I got him.
I'm sorry to say, like I don't go to like porn websites and I start commenting, sister, you're just you're doing something completely wrong. You're like, I just don't do that, bro.
What are those websites?
Oh yeah, bro.
I've never heard of
I'll
this.
just get the link you sent me last night, bro. Let's put that on there, bro. Trying to do the double whammy on me, son.
But
Get
that's
outta here.
spot on
That's
though,
weak
because
sauce.
like even on Instagram, there's something called an algorithm. Like the content you engage with the most, that's the type of content that Instagram or any of these platforms will continuously feed you, right? So that means like you're going onto these like women who you weren't actually even meant to look at, and you're like engaging in their content, and that's why their content is being like repeatedly advertised onto your page. And these guys will literally come and be like, hey, you shouldn't be on the internet, and you shouldn't wear this, you shouldn't look like that, you're causing me to sin, I can't resist because I'm a man. All these sort of things. And it's like, you know, in my opinion, it's actually much easier to lower your gaze on the internet, because there's a, like, you can literally just scroll, not engage with it, like just literally scroll, and that's it. You don't see the content anymore. But these people literally click on it, purposefully view your, like, they can see that it's a woman, and it's clearly not a woman that they're married to, right? Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, you know, there was actually a
pinch in
page
there, like, oh.
who tagged me, and they made a video. I'm not even kidding, like a video where they literally zoomed into certain areas of my body just to point out that it's wrong that those areas are like out.
Whoa.
And it's just like, I reported it and they took it down.
So like, so they made a video.
I can't remember. They took it down because I reported it on Instagram. But their page is literally just full of that. It wasn't just me. It was a whole bunch of like hijabi girls, and it's crazy. It's like they zoomed into that little bit of ankle I had out. Like, it was insane. And I was sitting down. And
ankle, like that's actually nuts.
Yeah.
What the heck? Like I'm honestly shocked. Speaking of, like, you know, people doing like the wrong things, the wrong places. Like, this is kind of like neither here nor there, but I feel like I should share the story. Have you guys heard of the East London Mosque baddies?
What? No, I mean, I'm in London right now. Send me the address.
So like I was on TikTok the other day, and I just got like this massive thread of like, so apparently like East London Mosque, like I don't know anything about it, but apparently like, so people go pray Tarawih and then like have a market bazaar afterwards. And apparently, like, all these girls are going up, like, they're calling them, like, hijabi baddies. And, like, they're just going, like, all, like, you know, all hurt, like, you know, all did up and stuff like that. They're going in there, pray tarawih. And all the dudes are, like, hang out, like, outside, like, the women's section. They go, like, to the markets and stuff. I'm like, and, like, so it got so bad that, like, the sheikh in the mosque had to, like, start talking about it. He's like, oh, yeah, brothers, you know, if you're waiting for your wife, please don't go near that entrance. You know, I don't know what everyone's doing. People are not coming here to pray. They're coming here like it's a fashion show and shit like that.
I've never heard of that, but that's.
Oh my God.
It's like, honestly,
there are a lot of hijabis in London, though, like a lot, and you get the whole variety as well. Like you get, like, you know, normal ones, and you get ones, you know, in like very, very tight tracksuits. I mean, I haven't seen this. I'm only sharing what
I
I've
seen the East London Mosque baddies, but like, I just heard about it, bro.
Maybe don't check where my iPhone was.
Check that. Tan's gonna look like he's been doing like this, like tahajjud at night. It's like, damn, you spent like 9 hours at the mosque, bro. You're just going hard, bro. He's going hard.
Sorry,
Oh,
the boiler system is like really loud. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Okay, no, it's okay.
Alright.
I was gonna put headphones on.
That'll solve it all. So like I mean, like what I find like most interesting is that, like, when you're in, like, say 20, your idea of life was like, I'm gonna like work, you know, I'm this certain type of person, I'm gonna go become like a psychologist, stuff like this. In the span of like 5 years, if you were like 5 years ago, you saw yourself today, would you like have even believed it? That's like, you literally, it was like a tangent on life. And I think it's very, very commendable. I think it's like super, super commendable. Like, so for those of you who don't know, maybe you can give me a video to link this to your channel, Samantha. But Sam was a psychologist. She does have a degree in psychology. Am I saying that correctly? And then you decided that psychology is bullshit, and then you're like, I'm going to become a doctor.
Yeah, I mean, even I was surprised, right? Like, when I married Sam, I was like, yes, you know, getting a housewife, food's gonna be ready all the time. Now I don't even know which part of the world she's in. just
all around the world. Is it Chirac right now?
She's in Chirac.
Chirac. Look, this is like the most international podcast ever. London,
Yes.
Qatar, and Chicago.
Hmm.
That's it. Look at that. Three different countries. I mean, like, what made you like? What made you think like I hate this psychology shit? I need to do something else.
Well, for
I want to be a
me,
doctor.
first of all, I don't hate psychology. I was a little fed up with psychology because, like, um, you know, all those years. So it's 4 years in total because I did my post grad as well. Um, and at the end of it, there's no like solution. Do you know what I mean? I mean, in medicine, there's no like absolute solution either all the time, anyways. But there are sometimes, right? Like for example, if someone cuts themselves, I can literally stitch you up and you're all good. Like that will heal, inshallah, and you should be fine. But with psychology, there's a lot of things up in the air, and it's like a different treatment for each individual. And you know, I'm just gonna say it like there's a lot of people right now that weaponize it. Like they weaponize mental illness, and it honestly takes away from people who are actually mentally ill, who are going through these sort of demons in their life, but they're too afraid to come out now because so many people are just fishing for sympathy. I'm sorry that I don't know. That's how I feel about it because there's a lot of people who just want something to be wrong with them so that they can explain or have an excuse for their shortcomings in life.
Yeah, I think honestly, like this is probably going to sound like super harsh, but I think like once people stopped having to hunt for like food and like find heat and stuff like that, and once people could like get credit cards and shit, I think the whole world went down the hill. Honestly,
See, this is why we're friends.
like honestly, like seriously, like honestly, if you look back like 200 years, right? People all they could do was like, I have to just survive. Like my thing is survival, right? Like I don't have the luxury to like have to worry about like these like minor issues. Now you're finding like I'm not not discrediting these kids. Maybe there is a bunch of people like there's 15, 16-year-olds I hear who's like I'm so depressed, and they put it on like their TikToks and like talking about it, and it's like first of all, I don't think you know what depression is. I think you're just sad, and I think you're looking for a bit of attention at this moment. Maybe you are, maybe you should go to it, but like what they're doing is actually like ruining it for so many other people who may actually have issues, because like you'd have people who like discredit like this whole thing for people. Like depression is like now half the people are like they're either hypersensitive about depression, or the other half are like completely discredit it. So people who are actually depressed, this is like a net negative. Overall it's a
Yeah,
net
for
net
sure. And
loss
then
for
the
them. They're
big
not getting any
problem
help
with
for
it
this
is
anymore.
like they just want to stay in that state. Do you know what I mean? That's how you know it's kind of like an attention seeking thing, because it's fine. Like there's a big difference between being in a depressive state and having depression. And even if you have depression, like you go seek help and your goal is to come out of it, right? But a lot of these people, they just want the diagnosis that they're depressed. And so they can, act a certain way or do whatever and just be like, oh, it's because I have depression. But they never want to actually treat it. Yeah, they never want to actually
Yeah,
treat it
it's like the,
because
the crutch.
it's something that makes them, I don't know, interesting. And again, like I said before, like it's an excuse for their shortcomings. Because obviously you if you had any ounce of like, intention to actually get help, get treatment and stuff like that, you wouldn't, I don't know, continuously stay in that state, um, and make absolutely no effort to come out of it. You just want to be depressed.
There's like I think that's like honestly a really really big problem nowadays with like all like I know like when I was that age at least 15 16, I never heard like depression was like it was there. People actually, it was like such a joke, honestly. You're like, oh, I'm so depressed today. Like it wasn't real at all. Like it wasn't a real tangible thing. Nowadays you cannot even say that. Like if you comment that to someone on TikTok or say something to like a kid like, hey, I think maybe you're not depressed,
Mm.
maybe you're just going through something at this age, you're finished. Especially like they get like the whole army on you, you're finished. Like you just get
Yeah,
cancelled out. Like that's it.
it's because we're in an age of hyper inclusivity. Everybody, and whether their feelings are valid or not, everything has to matter. There's no scenario where even if it's irrelevant, it cannot matter. That's the problem.
Oh, so like, so you're saying like every every thought out on the in the world is like a valid thought, and they're all good thoughts, and there's no bad ideas in
And
the
no,
world.
and people
Yeah, pretty
are
much.
Wow,
quite
that's honestly.
entitled at the same time, right? Like, I don't know, there's this thing of like having a participation award just because you participated in trying to answer the question right, but you answered it wrong. You should still be credited for trying, but your answer's still wrong. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I that Yeah, like the participation. Honestly, like so I have like a very I have a very interesting view on this participation. Actually, like I think it's important, especially for like young people, to feel that they tried and they're like being they're being rewarded for the try. But at the
yes.
same time, you can't
No,
have
I
five
understand.
first place winners. Like you need to be like, well done. You put yourself out there. You did something. You lost, and you're a loser today. But being a loser is better than doing nothing. Like
Yeah.
that's the worst option should be I did nothing today. Like you attempted, you lost. That's fine. But I think nowadays it's like they're saying now there's like in schools. I read somewhere there's like we don't want to have competitions. We don't have like a lot of competitive activities in school because like it's breeding like unfair. Some kids like feel
Yeah.
sad about it. Like that's the world, bro. Like
But I know, but you're meant to feel sad, right? Like if you, like you say, like you tried but you failed. That's a good thing, right? But
yes,
it's not like you should be happy about it in the sense that you've
Yeah.
succeeded. You haven't yet, so you dust yourself off and you try again. And when you do eventually win, you feel a different level of satisfaction, a different type of satisfaction. And that's what I'm saying about like everybody's feelings and shit are being made valid, right? Like now, like if I went to my parents when I was like, I don't know, 15 or 16, and I was like, hey, dad, I'm sad or I'm depressed. You know how he would react? Like it wouldn't be
like that's all it was, bro.
it wouldn't be like how parents are reacting these days, right? They're like, oh, I understand your feelings. What feelings? Like, go outside and play.
Yeah, that's all. That was like the solution to like 90% of the problems, bro. Like you just need to go outside, need to go do something. And also, I think a lot of those solutions aren't actually bad solutions. Honestly, like people really like talk down like going outside, going for a walk, and like taking your like taking your head outside of this bubble. Like I think honestly, when we were young, right, everyone thinks like they're like really like top tier football players, and I think that confidence is actually really important. Like I'm really good at football. I'm like world class at football. Nowadays, these kids like I feel so bad for them. They're opening their phones and like, oh, I'm good at football, but I'm not as good as like these 55,000 people like these Brazilian kids who have TikTok and are like making these videos. I'm not as good as all
Yeah,
those people.
for sure.
That's soul crushing. And I think we scaped that. We could build up some confidence. Imagine like a kid who's just constantly on TikTok all day, and he's like, "Oh, I like football. I'm gonna start scrolling through it. And I'm worse than
I
all
know
these
what
people."
you
And he's like,
mean.
oh, "I'm not gonna try because I'm never gonna be that good."
No, but like I know what you're saying, but that should, in a way, should be a good thing, right? Like you can see the level of competition out there. You can strive for something, right? So if you see this Brazilian kid in the favela doing like, 100 juggles or
No, no,
whatever,
no.
and you
But
can
I
only do five,
understand.
well, go
Yeah, no.
outside
But
and do
what
some
Jude is
more.
saying though is when
That's
we
how
were
it's meant to
younger,
be.
the scope of comparison isn't that big. It's literally like who's in your school or in the school, down the road or something like that. Like, whereas now the kids literally have access to everyone in the world, and I do believe that there's a limit. Like, there's competition, and then I don't know. I feel like when you compare it too much, it just shuts your confidence down like completely.
Yeah,
But I mean,
Yeah,
if
but
you're
these are
weak-willed,
children.
if you're weak mentally, then of course it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
But
but
I,
we
I
didn't
don't know.
have that large
Yeah,
of a
but
scope.
we were kids, right? Like when I first trialed for a football team, I didn't make it. Yeah, but when you're trying, let's say like region wide, right? You're trialing for the squad. You don't make it. I didn't make it. I used to still go to practices every morning just to watch these fuckers play, so I could figure out what they were doing that I wasn't doing. I mean, if you want something, you should try for it. If it's not like when I watch the Premier League, I'm like, oh my God, Ronaldo's so much better than me.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna play football again. That's the wrong mentality to have. Yeah, I don't know. It don't make sense to me.
Like I think you have like a very strong will. Like I want to be better. I always want to be better. But like, see, the problem is what I see is like the world today is that like everything now is instant gratification. Like I want to get better. I want to get better at this task, right? And then what do you tell them? It's like when I was coaching people, for example, like I was like, I want to get stronger. What's the secret? Like I'm like, you know what the secret is? You put a bar on your back every day for 3, 4 years, and you'll be really good at squatting, bro. No, no, no. There has to be something else. I need to do it in like 6 weeks.
It's called a trend and ends with the below.
But the steroid, literally. But see, that's like the instant gratification. That's like I need it like now, and it's like as soon as you tell people like, yeah, you're gonna get good at this in like 10 years, it's like nah, nah. But there's people who are good now, like they didn't have to wait. Like yeah, but it's like
Yeah,
everyone's
but it
comparing.
started 10 years ago.
Yeah, bro. You even see like these little kids, bro. Like some kids have like talent, right? But I guarantee it. That's like if you look at every athlete in like pro, NBA, WNBA, whatever the fuck all these like big sports are. I bet you like there's a good percentage of them who weren't that talented when they were young, like who were just average people, and they just had like a weird work ethic about them, like because
Yeah.
you hear so many kids who are like, oh, I was the best kid in my school, I was the best kid in my like this league, I was the best kid in college, and nothing out done.
Yeah, I mean, sports is a weird one, right? Because your body goes through a lot of physical changes, and injuries can pretty much take you out from the running completely, right? And it also depends on a lot of the exposure that you have. Like, you could be great in New Zealand, but like because you're so limited to where you can play, what you could do, the number of opportunities available just it doesn't end up working out for most people, right? But you're right. Most of these people that are great at something, they have a really, really, really strong work ethic. I mean, take a look at Tom Brady. The man was like the last pick
One
in
nine
the
nine, bro.
NFL.
Pick 199.
Yeah,
That's like
and he'll go down as a GOAT.
yeah,
But that's because he puts in work day in, day out. Take a look at Tyson. I mean, he comes from nothing. Like every disadvantage the kid could have had, he had. I mean, physically he was advantaged, sure, but he also put in work. I mean, after Cuss died, yeah, he stopped working, and then we saw what happened.
got the. You see, like that's a says it, bro. Like I think talent's important, but like also like I think most people
Yeah.
don't know where like the limits of your potential actually are. I think people they reach like 10, twenty
Yeah,
percent and they're like,
and then they
yeah,
call it
and
quits.
they're like, oh yeah, like I'm not gonna now because I have no time, and it's like I don't have like now that guy had more balls at practice, so obviously he deserves it. Like he had better opportunities, and like his dad drove him to training. And I like yeah, I think that's also like one thing the world doesn't get is
Yeah.
that like in the end the whole world doesn't give a shit. Literally
You know
nobody
that you
cares.
know that guy David Goggins,
No.
the Navy ex-Navy SEAL. He's like
Oh,
the
that guy.
famous
Yeah, yeah.
marathon
He's
runner.
bald.
Yeah,
Yeah, the bald guy.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like him.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he said this one thing, and I'm paraphrasing it here, where it's something like when you get to a point where you're like, I can't go on anymore in terms of like marathons, you've only reached like 40% of how much further you can actually go. So it's really like breaking through that mental barrier of I don't have it in me. Like digging deep is not something many people can do. Like when we used to play sports and you'd get like your second win, like you're running and then you're like completely tired, and all of a sudden you have all this new energy,
Yeah.
like you've hit your second win, and then you get tired again, and then all of a sudden your third win comes along. Pro athletes go through that in like every game, but most normal
Yeah.
people, when it happens to
For
them,
sure.
or they don't even get to their second win because they're like, I'm pooped, I'm done.
Yeah, I think people can't. I don't think people can stress themselves that much. I mean, like, what I think what you did, Sam, was like that's like the ultimate stress on somebody. Like, I mean,
Tansy.
when you said you wanted to be a doctor, how many people said that's a
He's
good
the only
idea,
person that was
realistically?
literally like, "You want this? Okay, we'll go get it."
like
Literally.
what?
I was actually literally just thinking back to that because it is a very very similar
Like the
situation because um what's this you know all my life, even though I did a bachelor of science and I did my postgrad and stuff like that, I still had people who would um look at me and just think I'm just into makeup and everything, and nothing is wrong with that at all, but it just the fact that I was trying to chase something and they would use that interest against me in order to say, actually, you shouldn't even try because I don't think you'll be good enough for it. Like, I don't think you'll make it. But I'm literally in like my final year of med school now. And, obviously I had my own doubts at the time and, that imposter syndrome and everything in the beginning. And there were so many situations in med school, especially like in the first and second year, where you think that's it. Like, there's no way I could keep going. But you literally just do. You just keep going. No matter, like, you feel so shit, like your professors have made you feel absolutely like embarrassed. Or you did the one that a lot of med students go through is like you studied really, really hard for a test and you didn't get the result that you wanted, right? And you feel really bad. There's just so many instances in med school where you think that there's no way I can, this is my limit. There's no way I can keep going. But you just do. You literally just keep going. And what used to be like your limit, what you thought was your limit, is your like new starting point, pretty much, because you kept going.
That's growth and improvement. That's how it all is. I think if you look at becoming a doctor as like I'm gonna become a doctor, and you look at it like the whole road ahead of you, I honestly, like, no human can look at that and be like, oh, that's easy. That's just like, what, 12 years, whatever, bro. Like, whatever it is going to take. Yeah, that's like, not how that's hard work. Like 18-year-olds look at that and they're like, yeah, that's like, oh, I'm going to be like, this XYZ age, whatever it is. Like, I think that's like the wrong way to go about anything, actually. If you look at any task and you're like, you know what I need to do? I need to take one step today. But like I need to take the one step, and like honestly, like I've been honestly like recently I've been getting like overwhelmed at like a lot in my life, like about everything. I get overwhelmed about everything, and then like recently I've been just breaking everything down into like simple tasks. Like today, what do I need to do? I need to go down. I need to write 3 lines of this. Good. I'd go do it. I'm like, wow, that wasn't too bad. Okay, now I need to write 3 more lines, and like every task I do in my life now is just broken down to simpler and simpler things, and that's like really been helping me.
Yeah,
like that small percentage every day over a long period of time is where you get the results. And like you're 5 years down. Like who the hell would have guessed? Like you're 5 years down. Like you're in your 5th year of med school. Like like now like I think you've done like the hard part. Like you just gotta like swim to the finish line. That's it. Like
still
that's
have 4 years in there, but no, I know what you mean. No, for sure. I didn't even think, at the time, I didn't even think I'd make it here, and I think it should be normalized to say that as well, because it's not motivation and all those kind of things. It's not a constant thing, and obviously it helps when you have even just one person in your corner saying, "No, keep going," and like trying to motivate you, even just one. It makes the world of difference, because a lot of people don't have a single person doing that, right? So it needs to always come from within, and it's tiring. But yeah, so in times when I would want to feel like quitting or something, I have this one over here telling me, "Nah, you can keep going, like keep going." I'm sure.
Really?
I'm sure.
I just remember telling you like, baby, where's dinner?
That was the one. That was the one good thing. That was the one good thing. During med school, during the early days of med school, we used to like eat out all the time because there was just like no time to like cook or even think about food at all. We used to have like a meal service, right? Like it would just come.
We didn't. Yeah, I mean, the first year we didn't even see each other,
Yeah.
right? Because like you'd leave in the morning before I even woke up. Like you used to wake up at like 3 or 4 a.m. to pray
Yeah.
and start studying,
Exactly.
and then you'd leave.
It was tough.
And then by
yeah,
the
for
time
sure.
I got home,
It was
you were
tough as
already
fuck.
asleep. So, like we were there,
Yeah, no, for sure.
together, but we were also not
Yeah.
there.
You share, like you almost become like really good like roommates. It's like
Yeah.
it's like you just live in the same house, but it's like I have this like guy in my house, like it's like real weird. This dude is there. Like your first year was in like
Yeah, my first
in
2
Philippines,
years.
right? So
First
like,
2 years
most of your
were in
years,
the
like obviously it
Philippines.
all became
And
online
by the end of
because of COVID
second
and stuff
year,
like that.
we did have to go online because that's when the pandemic hit. Yeah, towards the end of second year.
End of second year?
No. I think
So
the
do you
next
have to
time
go
I'd
back soon
be
and like, you know,
back
finish
in
it
the
off there?
Philippines would be maybe my internship year if I can't get one in Australia, since it's really hard to get one in Australia. But after that, you know, inshallah, it's just Australia
Yeah.
or here in the States.
Moving on. Yeah, that's the one. Honestly, like, I don't know. Like, I think it's like, I think it's really, especially being like, being a lady. It's like, it's hard because like, you know, at like a
Oh
certain
yeah,
age, everyone just starts putting like this expectation on you. It's like, oh, like, you know, when are you gonna have kids? When are you gonna start doing X, Y, Z, and this all this bullshit? It's like, it's like ridiculous. Like, you know, we're not, you know, like I think modern medicine's like way better
yeah,
now, and like, you know, people don't need to be having kids at like fucking like 18, 19. It's just not needed anymore. I think you, and honestly, like, realistically now, like you could, I think people think like 30 is now like this age where it's like you need to have like your whole life figured out. I need to have like all this shit figured out in your life, and you have to have like, you need to be at a certain stage. That was like my thoughts before, but I'm like, fuck it, like where you get to at 30 is where you're supposed to be. Like that's just like, you know, I feel like there's a plan for everybody, and it's like, you know, you just ride along with it. If you start looking like left and right at people,
yeah,
you know, where you should be.
for
Where you should
sure.
be is the most bullshit answer I've ever heard. It was like, you shouldn't be anywhere. You are where you're supposed to
Yeah.
be. I don't know. I mean, like what are your plans after you, like, you know, you finish? Like, do you want to be like a practicing doctor? Do you like really, are you looking forward to like doing something really
I
specific?
don't
Do you
know
want to
why
do
he
like
likes painting this picture that he's some sort of
after
like
all that?
conservative, oppressive husband. He literally funds my entire med school.
Um,
He's the one that's funding it and like supporting
yeah.
me. So, but
He's-
no.
all the you gotta let the Icelandic
No,
man
no.
yeah, it's like, just gonna let them know. Honestly, bro, you're gonna be. You tell them like, you know, I got one in med school. I'm looking for another one somewhere here. You know,
Now it's
just take care of both of
I'm
us.
actually faced with a very difficult decision because it would, you know, pave the way to a certain pathway, right? So I'm trying to consider whether I want to practice back in Australia or here in the States. In the States, it's getting specialized is much. It's an easier process, and it's a quicker process than how it is in Australia as well. So, if I were given the choice to specialize in something other than like family medicine or something here in America, it's pretty hard to say no to it. The only issue I have here in the States, and it's a big issue, is the whole like maternity leave situation. Huh?
Oh, listen, it's the greatest
Greatest
nation on
nation
earth.
doesn't
Okay,
have maternity leave.
they give it's the greatest nation on earth. All
So like,
right,
if that you need that green card, you need that.
They do,
it's
but
all
it's
about
very
freedom.
limited. I think it's like 6 weeks or something,
Like
and you
they don't
can't
have
take
maternity
it.
leave.
Like your maternity leave doesn't start until you literally give birth. They expect you to. I mean, in paper, that's how it is, right? In practice, I'm pretty sure they're nicer in that they'll try to find some way to give you at least like 2 weeks before you give birth. But, bruh, that's 2 weeks before you're ready to pop. Like it's insane, and these hours are not human hours. Okay, like I think
Yeah.
in the fall of 2020, they did change. They did make certain changes, like if you're in your anywhere in your residency program and you fall pregnant, you can opt out of like 28-hour shifts or 32-hour shifts and overnight shifts, but that's it. Like, but prior to that, they expected pregnant women to go through these shifts, 28-hour shifts, 32-hour shifts. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
America's not a great country for work-life
yeah,
balance.
for
It's a
sure.
very workaholic culture,
Is that?
and especially in certain industries, it's quite difficult.
And is that like, so like your goal is it like, you know, obviously like they're all good answers, but like are you like, you know, more financially
Both,
motivated? Are
for
you looking
sure,
to like
both.
help more
I'm not going to
people? Like, you
pretend
know,
that money
what's like
is
the
not
overall
a
goal for you? Like
driving
what are you
motivator,
trying to get
because
to?
that's just silly. Like at the end of this, we're gonna have like a mountain of debt. So of course we need the money to like pay it off, right? So
Yeah.
There's no debt, baby. It's all cash.
Cash money, bro.
Hashtag East London baddies.
I have no debts, all right. You need to, we need to put like a little bio for Tanzim at the end of this. Like put hashtag ELM baddies, hashtags, put like Tanzim's height, weight, all that stuff and information, bro.
6'2".
That's a dream for him, bro. That's a dream.
6'2", 210
Oh,
pounds.
210, you're 250, baby. That's where you want to be at.
Chicago has
like,
a ton
so like
of Muslims.
like how do you feel like being like?
I
does
was
Chicago have
actually,
heaps of Muslims there? I've never been there before. Like, I
never
don't
been
know.
to America before. I was just, I would just hear about it like on the news and stuff like that. And on the news, it doesn't really sound like it's too Muslim friendly, right? But when I came out here, especially in Chicago, people are so friendly. And there's so many Muslims around. Even if they're not Muslim and they can obviously see that I'm Muslim, they would greet me like, Assalamu alaikum. And like just the other day, I was literally both. Just the other day, I was literally just walking down the street waiting for my friends, and people would come up to me and say like, "Oh, I like your hijab," or "I like your outfit," or something like that. And clearly, my outfit is the way it is because I practice, Islam and everything, right? Like with the hijab and everything. So even with that taken into consideration, people are still really friendly. So it's nice. People are really nice out here. No. So I'm still in something called
When you're like,
clerkship.
so like in your
it's
internship
I'm
now,
actually
or
in the
like
fourth
is it
year of
residency or
my
internship
the
in
end
school? I don't know.
of my fourth year here in med school. So it's the time where we rotate into different departments, and yeah, just shadow and look after patients and stuff.
Like how do the patients treat you? Is there like
No.
do you find like weird
So
treatment
so
from them, or
far,
like is it like you're shocked, taken
we have
aback,
a
or
lot of
like?
med sci patients. So there are patients with medical conditions, but also a lot of psychiatric conditions. So they're gonna treat everybody the way they're gonna treat everybody. Yeah, yeah. Like so, it's.
Oh, you
I
could
don't
you
think
tell them I can fix both of
being
these.
in the
This is not
hijab
even
or anything
problems
has
here. I
ever
can do
been
both. You let them know.
like I was so far. I haven't been discriminated against it. Here in Chicago.
Oh man, there's like what was it like? Do you find like your overall goals now, like ever since like you became a doctor, like when you started medicine, have you found that any of your goals shifting? Like when you started, you had this like XYZ goal, I want to achieve, I want to become this type of doctor. Throughout this like 4 years of like your education, have you found that your goals maybe have
Yes
like
and
shifted
no.
left, right, or like it's like an updated
My
version of what
the
you wanted to
specialty that
achieve?
I want to pursue keeps changing for sure. Like from the time I started med school to now, it's completely changed. And honestly, I'm just pretty open to everything now. And I was actually watching a video by Dr. Salini on YouTube, and he was going on about how um, what's this? A lot of med students get discouraged with medicine, and a lot of them quit and stuff like that because all the examples that are out there, like for example, Doctor. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Ali Abdal. Yeah, yeah. So Ali Abdal, he's like spot on. He learned how to code when he
Yeah,
was
he's
like
really good. I like him.
11 or something like that, and he's from like Oxford, graduated and stuff like that. So a lot of the, huh? You don't know how to code even now. Anyways,
I know how to code.
anyways, yeah.
I know
So
how to
a lot
code.
of the examples of doctors on YouTube, the ones that make content and stuff like that, they're your cream of the crop, and that's the reason why they're on YouTube. Trying to inspire, trying to educate, and blah 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 blah. But for majority of doctors, they're literally just going about it day to day. They're just in whatever specialty they are, and they're just trying to help at the end of the day, right? Like that's the profession. We're just here to help and heal. So I try not to dwell too much anymore about the type of doctor I want to be, except for the fact that I just want to be able to be the type of doctor that has the ability to help and not be, a quack.
And yeah, I mean, I think that's like honestly like I really feel like I do see a lot of people get into like medicine. They're like they have this kind of like wrong idea. It's like, yeah, I want to become a doctor and I'm gonna get like this massive salary. That's what I'm in it for. I'm like, if you're going in with that like into obviously everyone should think about the finance stuff, but like you need to be really like actually wanting to help people because it's like the commitment you have to put in
Yeah,
and
for
like
sure.
I look at it. I'm like I have to deal with people on a daily basis. Like you're it's a people job. Literally, end of the day, if it all boils down to like a people job, that's exhausting. Like I look at that, I'm like, I have to deal with people's feelings and like their hurts and wants. Like, holy shit, no way, I can't do that. Like for me, I cannot do that. What people want to deal, like I got, like that's why we became engineers. That's why I became an engineer. Like I don't have to deal with like people's, all like these crazy little ideas. I can deal with like one client and like I have this idea and then he leaves me alone. Your whole job is like going to people, dealing with them 24 hours a day, and like you can't discourage, like you have to be able to tell like, oh, this guy's like actually in pain, this guy's not in pain, maybe he's just like bullshitting, maybe he wants some meds, I don't know. It's like it seems exhausting. I think you
Yeah,
have to be
yeah,
like
for sure.
predisposed to it, like have the
Yeah.
correct emotion, like the correct EQ to be doing that kind of work. And last question for Mr. Tazi. I mean, how's that been for you? Like Mrs. in med school. Like, how have you been coping?
Come away, bro.
Yeah,
It's been difficult, like I've always, like I said, I've always wanted a housewife, and here she is, getting getting overly educated.
overly educated. She's
No,
chasing
I
the
mean,
dreams.
like it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about not knowing what your potential is, right? And for me, I feel like Sam's got so much potential. So if she wants to do something and I can help her achieve her dreams or whatever, then I'm going to do it. But of course, with that comes difficulty in the sense that we're always apart. I was actually talking to this about
Yeah, no, for sure.
Dee and Leanne earlier today. Like, we've been apart more after we got married than before,
Mm.
Yeah,
and it's tough. But like, this is the path we chose, right? Like, and you got to make some sacrifices so you can get ahead later on.
Yeah.
And thankfully for us, we're looking at the sort of tail end of it now,
inshallah.
where
Yeah.
yeah,
No, but
inshallah.
like
So
that's still
you'll come
that's
back.
still the
Oh
tail
fuck,
end,
you got
right?
to go
Because
to
after
Philippines
that,
next year probably.
unless I get like,
Well,
you
whatever.
know,
Like we'll figure it out.
residency in, I don't know, somewhere, and then you can't come, like Nebraska or something, and you can't come because there's no work in Nebraska for you.
Well, I'll go to Nebraska. I'd love to live in one of those places. I mean, I wouldn't look at a place wearing a cowboy hat or boots.
I honestly, I'd love to wear a cowboy hat. Honestly, like
Yeah,
like a cow leather cowboy hat. My God, bro.
I really wanted to buy one, but I don't know. People weren't supportive of me.
Yeah, see,
So
happy.
I wouldn't know what it feels
Yeah,
like to be
yeah, you're
supported.
in everyone's corner, but we look at your corner, bro. It's empty, bro. That's how it is, man. There's the cowboy hat dreams, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I reckon.
but long distance is tough. No doubt about
It
it. Like,
sucks. Honestly, it blows. Like I did it with with my wife
Not
now,
doing that
Rama. We did it
again.
for like a few years, like in the beginning, and when we finally got together, like yeah, no, that's it. Like no, and
yeah,
never like, and I'm lucky because Rama was like, she's like she was willing to sacrifice, like like oh yeah, like I say I want to do it, have a job somewhere else. She's like yeah, sweet, let's go. Like she was willing to give up her jobs and like all her opportunities to like support me, which I'm very grateful for. Like
yeah.
I think that's like the magic of like finding someone that you can actually do that for. I think you guys have that magic too. One guy sacrifices his income. You sacrifice your all your
Yeah,
time and shit like that.
inshallah,
But over
inshallah.
at the end of the day, the goal is there. We'll reach it. We'll reach it in the end.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, brother. Well, I think that's we're at a good spot now. You guys have any shout outs? Anything you want to say to the broader internet community?
Shout out to Super Dude was taken. Shout out to the East London baddies.
East London. That's the biggest
I'm
takeaway
in,
today was the East London
I'm,
baddies.
I'm in London till the 31st, so
Oh man, he's there, bro. He's on the hunt, bro. You're gonna be getting all the messages, like messages from like random people
Oh
sending you on
god.
Instagram, like, "Wow, we have seen your husband.
Can you imagine?
He's been waiting outside the door of the female entrance." Oh my god.
People would as well, that's the funny part.
Oh my. Literally,
would.
like,
so bad.
actually, it'd be disastrous, dude.
Someone
Oh
actually
my God.
recognized him in
Oh,
wait, someone actually recognized him in
Literally,
Chatstone.
the people, the
Someone
people, the
messaged
people
me
know
and was
Tanzim
like,
on the internet.
"Hey,
Like,
is your
if you
husband
know,
back in Australia?
Bro,
I swear I
bro.
saw him." And then I asked where they saw you, and they said you were at Chatstone or something. I was like, "Oh yeah, it was Mother's Day and everything." But yeah, people definitely
Oh my
recognize you.
God.
and yeah, it's so annoying though because
You're like,
Yeah.
Samantha's like famous, bro. That's like magic, honestly.
It's really annoying. Like,
no,
you know,
no,
I
no.
can't
This
go.
okay.
I can't
This is
like
the thing,
Instagram
right? Like,
photos of like,
so
you
he
know, like famous
apparently
people. Like,
Oh yeah,
liked
that's
I
his
famous people, bro.
Kylie
Yeah,
Jenner
alright,
photo,
bro.
I
and
like
someone
Rihanna's photo.
screenshotted it and like messaged it to me, and it's just like, oh my god, your husband is like liking other girls' photo. I'm like, what the
Kylie
fuck is he
Jenner,
gonna
yeah.
do? Run away with Kylie Jenner? Like, I don't care. Like. And like it's like people projecting their own like insecurity like onto me. I'm just sitting there like, why the fuck are you looking at like what my husband is like liking? I don't even look at what my husband is liking.
Oh my God.
I think I would high five
Honestly,
him as well.
if Tanzim runs away with Kylie Jenner, I reckon we're all eating well. Honestly, sorry, no offense, Sam, but like I think we're like we're eating
We're all
good.
eating well.
Yeah,
That's what you're thinking.
We're eating well, bro. Like like if Tanzim gets with Kylie, I'm like Tanzim, I'm quitting today. Like,
Yeah.
you take care of us now, bro. Like we're not doing shit. I don't care about this
Exactly.
work. I'm not working anymore, bro. You made it. That's it. We're
Gold
getting
rollies
you're
for
gonna get the
all the
rollies,
boys.
bro. We're not wasting time anymore. Oh, that. Oh man! But thank you so much for coming on, Sam. It was a long time coming. This one, I actually enjoyed it. It's very I feel like you're gonna inspire
Yes.
a lot of
Just-
ladies out there. Yeah, you have a message for all the
just
young
keep
ones out
going,
there.
honestly.
Chase your
Like
dreams.
a lot of
give
it
them
is
some
just
motivational
persistence.
quote.
Like, if you
can
got a
read them
dream, you have to
something from the
chase it.
Stoics,
And
whatever you
the
like.
key to it is honestly just to keep going.
Just-
Find a way to keep going. That too, sure. Whether
Just
he
keep
makes
swimming,
bad
that's the
jokes
one.
or not.
That's the one.
Find a man to support you.
That's the one, bro. It helps. Like it helps. Oh man. Oh, thank you so much, guys. And I'm gonna press the button. Boom.